What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to the channel. We're jumping in today with some more solo leveling Arise content. We're going to be specifically looking at Encore missions for this. So let's jump right on in. So essentially what we're looking at here is 4 different battles for you to collect gear. I'm not exactly sure why they've done it this way, but they did. And I'm not really too pleased with it, but we'll talk about this. So essentially you've got 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. These bosses pair up and match together. So you've got the Blue Venom Fang Kasaka, the Viridescent Mage Forez. You can see here the levels that I'm currently at with these characters. So tier 8 is where I'm at, and tier 6 is where I'm at here, tier 6 and tier 8. So let's explain what's going on here. So first thing up, note that within inside of each of these, it's important to pay attention. It basically states the type of gear that you're going to basically be collecting from these bosses. So on Kasaka, you're going to be getting your gloves and your boots, and from Forez, you're going to be getting your helmet and your chest piece. The same thing here for the Gatekeeper of Hell Cerberus, and then the Giant Arachnid as well. So at Blue Fang Kasaka and Forez, you can get gear all the way up to level 35. 35 because this is sort of a natural cap place in the game. Like if you're playing 100% free to play and you're just pretty casual, you're probably going to notice that you're pretty capped at that point, somewhere around 35, 37. And it's going to be this next leap to get to 41. And essentially what the game is almost asking you to do is almost level up this gear here before you get to the next level gear. I promise you it's not going to be that long though that you're going to be sitting at that little cap. It just won't be. So not necessarily really worth it to level up this gear too hard. Maybe take it up 10 levels and that's it. It's important to understand why you don't want to take gear beyond those 10 levels, because it does cost you gold to switch gear out that you've basically taken, I think is above level 12 or 14. So be mindful of that. Like it almost, why the game does that, I have no clue. It's one of the things that I want to bring up specifically for the video. There's no sense in me having to pay gold to swap out gear. I don't understand that. I read the full manhwa. I don't ever remember Sun having to pay gold to swap gear pieces for things that he collected. He had a bottomless inventory. He basically pulled from that inventory. So why they instituted this, I have no clue, but it needs to be removed. I can show you what I mean specifically with Jin, for instance. So like for instance, say here I have these pieces of glove and they're at level 17 and I want to change that glove to something else, right? So I want to equip this. Notice that it's going to cost me gold to swap out that artifact, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Like they need to remove this. I have no clue why they did that, especially with gold being the resource that it is. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's important for you to understand that you don't want to level up gear past a certain level, like level 10, because if you do, you want to make sure that you're going to be utilizing that gear. That's basically the intent here. Now, also note that as you go up, you know, the availability or the odds that you're going to basically get anything below epic gear is going to decrease. So all the way at stage 10 here, you can see that I'm not getting any rare gear. However, I'm only getting level 30 gear. So you might be in that predicament where you're trying to equip all these things, these items. Don't be fearful, because here goes the truth about something as well. You've played mobile games before, so you know exactly the way this works. Treat that shit like hand-me-downs, okay? So your character has some level 30 gear, like Sun has. We all, if you pre-registered, you basically got gear that was given to you for the Black Lion set, and it was at 35. Treat that shit like hand-me-downs and give it to the next character that's gonna basically benefit from it, because I guarantee you what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna see an element where your whole roster will matter. They're gonna probably be introducing game modes where having your whole roster will matter. I mean, trust me, Justin alone, one of the game modes that's unlocked, I'm gonna bring another video about that. You essentially need 2 teams anyways of characters, and you're gonna have to level them up. So that's 6 characters in total that you really should be focused on to get towards that giant boss raid type game mode for the game. So pay attention to that, okay guys? So when we're inside these modes, understand that as you complete the modes and you complete the missions, they do make the farming of those missions slightly more easier by basically increasing the damage dealt and decreasing the damage taken. So this essentially complete all 3 of the elements there, and you know, you get this. Now the only confusing part for me on this one, specifically for like Blue Fang Venom Kasaka, why I don't know. Like, I would almost rather see a % increase to the drop rate basically for these, or maybe like completing these elements, especially at the higher tier, lets me maybe do something like select or something. I don't know, like, you know, choose a small pool the way they did with the custom draw. Like, I would love to see that, especially because one of the things that you're going to look at is what items you're specifically trying to go to, and realistically they're like 4 sets that you're trying to hunt for, and outside of those 4 sets it doesn't really make a difference. That none of the characters are really going to benefit off of those. So let's take a look at those anyways though. So like I said, here you can see that the main rewards for Kasaka are the gloves and the boots, and by selecting it you'll notice it's gloves and boots. When you look at Viridescent 4S, it's going to be the helmet and the chest pieces inside here, and you can take that all the way up. All the bosses also have specific mechanics to them, and you want to pay attention to them. So for instance, Blue Fang Kasaka does not have a shield, but he will leave pools of, or venomous like pools that basically act as like DOT. As you get into the harder levels for the game, I don't know why they chose to do this instead of just raising damage and increasing the number of skill effects. They love to play the floor is lava. I don't understand it. I have no clue why they choose to do it, but everything becomes about the floor is lava. If you know what I'm talking about, you remember playing that game as a kid, you're playing that inside of a game because they just inundate the map with areas you cannot touch because someone either has dropped fire, venom, or some type of pool of something that you cannot step in. Otherwise, you're going to take DOT over time. So pay attention to that. They will have a element that they are highly resistant to. So for Kasaka, it's going to be this blue. You want to make sure that when you set up your formations for your team, if you're going to be farming Blue Venom Fang Kasaka, that you take advantage of the recommended element. If you're taking advantage of the recommended element and you have a team of people that can keep switching back and forth, and they have that dark element, for instance, for Kasaka, you will notice that battle will go by infinitely quicker and easier than you expected. I'm not kidding you. You'll probably go up tiers, maybe 1 or 2 tiers higher than what you could if you proceed with that method. So no break shield for Kasaka, so that's a good thing, right? I don't have to have a break shield. I just need to be doing DPS to this target, and that's it. So yeah. Other thing to note with the missions is that for Encore missions specifically, it's hunter specific. So you're not using Sun. Yet I don't like this decision necessarily. I would have preferred that Sun is used here. If you had to do one or the other, basically between Encore missions and instance missions, I would have almost rathered that Sun was used inside the Encore missions versus the instance missions. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, so 4S is similar, except that 4S does have a shield that you need to break, so you're going to want to make sure that you have a hunter with break damage and is good at break. Specifically for 4S, the character that's probably going to be best is going to be Emma. Emma Laurent is probably one of the better characters in the game. She is not utility. You can use her across multiple game modes. I love that character. I was so happy to get her. She's currently inside of the rate up event for the store. So if you really cannot seem to pull her, I will tell you right now, I believe this character is better than Choi. That's my opinion, my belief in terms of utility for a character. I love this character, but that's just me. I love this character. Awesome character. So if you need her, go ahead and go pull her from there. Otherwise, she is also available for you to choose from the recommended characters inside here. That's how I got her. So I was pretty pleased with that. So she's really good for this boss because she both does deal breaks and she's a fire type damage character inside there. 4S does summon special objects on the field and is highly resistant to wind. Wind seems the one element in the game that I like. There's like niche pockets here and there for where the involvement of the character is. But for the fact that, you know, Emma is highly usable here inside this. She's highly usable in side chapters. She's highly usable in gates. It makes her non-utility based, in my opinion. Like, so she doesn't have a niche which she is trying to fulfill. She has a role within your team that you could frequently use that character. Side chapters, I have literally used her to just clear out whole things with her AoE. I'll do an individual video on the hunters and explain why I see them in certain tiers based on like usefulness, not just based on power. I don't care how powerful a character is if most of the time I'm using them at a decrement to myself because the boss has passives, or I don't really get to use that character because there's a far more efficient character inside there. Emma, high utility, especially in the early game with Viridescent Mage Forez, mid game as well. I haven't gotten really to the late game. I'm really in the mid game about chapter 15. So I'll let you guys know. But anyways, once we pass on from there, we basically get the Gatekeeper of Hell, Cerberus, and the Giant Arachnid. So Cerberus is going to be a very special character that everyone's going to be trying to pull Seo for, Seo Jiwoo. She is a water-based character that does break damage. Her break damage feels a lot stronger than what they have listed for her. So essentially, when you look at Seo and you look at her skills, you notice that on here she deals water damage, and then on her break skills it says weak break damage, and it says weak break damage on all of the skills. If you notice, weak break damage, and then finally when you get all the way to her special skills, it's like medium break, weak break. You see what I'm saying? But I swear to God, even on bosses where she doesn't have like the elemental advantage, that break damage that she deals feels medium to heavy. I don't know if something's wrong there, or maybe I'm not reading the skills appropriately to understand how that's elevating the break damage, but she does hit like a freaking truck. I looked at her passives to see if I understood what was going on there, but you can see like so I have her at 3 stars, and I did notice that it increased the break effectiveness, but I didn't think that it was going to increase the break effectiveness by that much. Like, she hits like a Mack truck and breaks bars better than Emma at 3 stars. I don't know if Emma's gonna have something inside of hers because I haven't really got there. I got the increased break damage for burn up. Okay, so maybe if I get her to 2 stars, the break effect here, then I'll get them and see some. But man, holy crap, Seo's hitting like a massive truck. So you want to at least get to this, increase the user's break effective. Yeah, she hits like a truck. That's the best thing I can say. She hits like a truck. Is really, really good to see. So anyways, so next up, we're talking about the bosses here. So Cerberus is going to be a special one because of the fact that when you look at the codex and you look at the hunters that we basically have that are water type characters. So you basically have Seo in the top of the SSR list. And then that's where you kind of like peter out at, because there's no other SSR type water characters here. There's like 2 of each element except for the water as far as I can see inside here, unless my eyes are going blind. But then you have characters like Nam, who sit inside here you could possibly use. And then you have like Han Song-yi and Anna Ruiz, and then Lee Jo-hee. So Lee is like a healer type character, so you're really using her in for utility more than anything else. And then like Anna is like a DPS type character. Same thing for like Nam. I think Nam was like the assassin-like type character. I can't remember. I haven't really played with her that much. She's like the range, but you get what I'm saying. So like she has far more utility, or you know, feasibility in the game, because she's probably the only water-based character that you have that are going to be hitting at that level. So pay attention to that. Like it's kind of important. That's the reason why you almost want Seo on your team when you pull for her over Emma, because there are other fire-based characters like Choi. They might not be as good as Emma, in my opinion. That's my opinion. But you get what I'm saying there. So you're going to probably realistically need Seo to do Cerberus and complete that boss. He is highly resistant to fire, so you're not going to be doing anything. And then he does continuous damage, and he definitely does the floor is lava after like stage, 5, 6. It's a pain in the ass. So even with Seo built the way I have her built, she's not like next to where my Cha is built or anything like that. but I cannot realistically do stage 6 with her where it's like 128, even though my team power is at that level. It just, I don't know why, it's taken way too much time, and it's just easier for me to farm stage 5 because the awards are pretty much the same as stage 5. So I'd rather not deal with it than to look at it. So like you can see here, it's basically 50, and here is 55. And then if I looked at stage 6, it's 55 and it's 50. So like, you know, the gap in between 55 and 50 just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me to stress out about it. So like, that's me trying to play it. Okay, so anyways, so you're also gonna have to battle inside the giant arachnid. So this kind of goes untalked about, really, because I think everybody's so focused on Cerberus from all of the content creation that happened from the early game. You're gonna have to fight the giant arachnid, and I can tell you right now, if you get Cha, she makes this stage look like lackluster. Like, I mean, and I really do mean that. Like, it feels easy to do within power level. So like, my team is at about 128,000 power with just my hunters, but I was able to clear level tier 7 at 153. Now, was it a nail biter? Yes, it was a nail biter. I only had like 10 seconds left, but I was able to do it. I also failed with my health because I was below, because I was taking some hits, missing out on some evasions and stuff like that. But I was able to clear that with her because she doesn't care about this arachnid's shield. She just absolutely doesn't care about that break shield that's inside of there, whether it's continuous or not. She doesn't care about the heal because she applies unrecoverable to that target, and she's light element, so she just wrecks that. Now, that's not to say there aren't other light element hunters within the list, because there are. I think that she's just the most effective, going to be the most effective at clearing the giant arachnid. At level 6 for me, because I was basically able to clear that area, it makes this stage really easy. I can complete it in all of about, 30-45 seconds. That's essentially what you're looking for in terms of efficiency with the stages. It's not going to take me 3 minutes to basically do this. It's going to take me maybe all of 30-45 seconds to basically complete with Cha on the team the way I have her built. Now, I do have a very built up Cha. My Cha is literally at like 4 stars. She's got her weapon. I've got it at 2. Trust me, I know there are whales with plenty more on that character, but like I said, she's built up for my mini whaling, right? So just pay attention to that. So these are all of what you're going to be doing inside the gates. Inside the Encore missions. I'll do some individual videos to specifically go a little bit more in depth on how to play each of the boss and some specific mechanics that you're basically looking at the mid tier as I get more up in the game, so that way I can show you exactly what you're trying to avoid over the long haul. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.